Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Shroop, Director of Alumni Relations here at Jefferson. We are so happy to have everyone here tonight. This evening's presentation will be recorded and sent out tomorrow. In the handouts, you'll also be able to download the slides from tonight's presentation. As you can see from this slide, we have over 130 alumni from 18 states, the District of Columbia, and Canada that registered for this evening's event. If we can also please welcome Tillman Moyer, our Associate Vice President for Development for the University. He leads the effort to raise private support in support of the priorities of the University. Tillman?
Rebecca, thank you. And let me take a moment to introduce our two speakers for this evening, Dr. Steve Spinelli and Dr. Mark Tykocinski. Dr. Spinelli became Chancellor of Jefferson on July 1st, 2017, when Philadelphia University and Thomas Jefferson University officially combined. He became president of Philadelphia University on September 1st, 2007, where he established an aggressive strategic plan, formalized the award-winning Nexus Learning approach, and launched the university's most successful fundraising campaign in its history. Previously, Dr. Spinelli held a variety of faculty and leadership positions at Babson College in Wellesley, Massachusetts, including Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship and Global Management and the Director of the Arthur M. Blank Center for Entrepreneurship. His work has appeared in such popular press as the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, the Boston Globe, the Chronicle of Higher Education, The Economist, the Philadelphia Inquirer, and Business Week. He was co-founder of Jiffy Lube International and was chairman and CEO of the American Oil Change Corporation, helping to pioneer the quick lube industry nationwide and turning Jiffy Lube into the nation's dominant competitor. He earned his Ph.D. in economics from the Management School at Imperial College of the University of London, his MBA from Babson College, and his BA in economics from McDaniel College. In 2016, he received the honorary degree Doctor of Letters from Ulster University in Ireland. Dr. Mark Tykocinski is our Vice Chancellor and Provost. He's also the Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and the Anthony F. and Gertrude M. De Palma Dean of the Sidney Kimmel Medical College at Jefferson. Dr. Tykocinski joined Jefferson in 2008 after serving as professor and chair of the Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine in the University of Pennsylvania's School of Medicine for more than a decade. Previously, Dr. Tykocinski spent a total of 15 years at Case Western Reserve University, rising through the ranks to become a tenured professor in the Department of Pathology. He was the director and founder of the Gene Therapy Facility at the Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine. He is nationally and internationally recognized leader in the field of pathology and laboratory medicine. Dr. Tykocinski's research has been in the field of molecular immunology, where he has pioneered new classes of fusion protein pharmaceuticals for the treatment of autoimmune disease and cancer. He is a founding scientist of CAR Medical, which is bringing his discoveries into the clinic. Dr. Tykocinski earned a Bachelor of Arts in Biology from Yale University and was awarded his medical degree from NYU. He completed an internal medicine internship at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center, and his residency training was completed at NYU. Dr. Tykocinski was a medical staff fellow at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the NIH in Bethesda, Maryland. And just on top of that, he just this past spring received an honorary degree from Philadelphia University. Gentlemen, I'll let you take it from here. Dr. Spinelli?
Our lineage is important. This institution started to be as a market-facing answer to establish careers for ambitious young people. We started as the Philadelphia Textile Institute. We became the Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science. We evolved to Philadelphia University, and it's our turn to take that evolution to the next step. We have always been a hidden gem. I'm tired of being a hidden gem. It's time for us to take our proper place in the crown. I think that this merger brings us to that position where we can take all that design thinking, all that market-facing behavior, all that value creation, combined with the sophistication and the rigor and the diligence of Thomas Jefferson University, one of the oldest medical colleges in the world with the largest alumni base of doctors of any college in America. And combined, we become a force in America to do something special and most importantly, to deliver better education. And in delivering that better education in the 21st century, we not only improve the lives of individuals, we improve the society. I will also say, and I say this with great enthusiasm, it increases the value of your degree. The real value of Philadelphia University, finally, after 133 years, is going to be heard across America, and this merger is what is going to do it. That speaks to the issue of evolving demand, demanding us to evolve. We're the authors of evolving in light of demand. We're the college that has done more with that than any college in America. Why stop now? We need to step up and do that now. And everyone that you can talk to, anyone you know, you can talk to your classmates, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to your family. Higher education is evolving so rapidly. Society is evolving so rapidly. We do not have the luxury of standing still. We must change or be overcome by that change. We're taking the position that we are going to be leaders in higher education, and that is what I think is really going to deliver the better education. Now, that doesn't mean we will change. Well, let me tell you what won't change. We will remain masters of our own destiny by being market-facing, by teaching students to the fields of tomorrow. The textiles become wearables. Wearables become material sciences. Medical students are working with industrial design students. The Center for the Study of Medical Marijuana is joining with the study of hemp and fibrous materials. That's 21st century. That's Philadelphia University plus Thomas Jefferson University. We completed this merger on July 1st, 2017. The new era began. The new Jefferson, the combination of Philadelphia University and Thomas Jefferson University, started on July 1st. But it really started 133 years ago, as I have just screamed at you in the phone, how excited I am about this progression and our role in it. But the thinking about the merger thesis, the coming together of Jefferson and Philadelphia University really started almost 2 years ago, really more than 2 years ago, where we began to talk about what is our common philosophy of education. And in that common philosophy, we really focused on creating the professionals of the future who are empowered to be leaders in those professions. With that common philosophy, that was the underpinning of this merger thesis. That's what brought us together. That's what creates the value proposition that is so different than in most of higher education today. That's the distinctive new standard for the 21st century. And you'll see that it emerges in an interesting set of branding. Branding, for me, is a promise. It is a statement by the institution, by the organization, by the culture that's delivering that branding, that they're going to do something special. And in this branding, it was very thoughtfully put together. Really, the sophistication and resources, frankly, of Thomas Jefferson allowed us to hire some of the best branding experts in the world to do surveys, thousands of surveys with alums and with students and with stakeholders of these two institutions. And we talked about what was bringing us together. What was the motivating forces that would create this new university? When you look at the logo, you see a T and you see a J and you see a P and you see a U and you see the melding and you see the three-dimensional fusing of these two universities into one, into a shield that represents the academic endeavor. You also see Jefferson as a prominent name because Jefferson had market recognition. It also has the scale of a $5 billion health enterprise that allows us to really amplify the branding and the value of this institution. But you will also see the lockup of Philadelphia University plus Thomas Jefferson University. It is clearly a combination with a new logo and a forward-thinking philosophy. And, you know, this is a fun picture for me because it talks about what we bring to the game is the creation of a new culture. There's lots of theories of merger and acquisition and combination and forward-thinking cultures, and there's a theory of transculturation, which is you bring two organizations together and you create something better from that. And that becomes really the essence of a team. And this picture is showing that we've brought together people who really believe we can be a great team, and we will continue to evolve. We cannot, you cannot, no one can avoid change. You either put your oar in the water, or you get swept by the stream. Part of that coming together was a deep set of market research. Again, thousands of interviews, thousands of surveys, individual discussions with teachers and researchers and students and alums and industry experts and researchers and government and neighbors. And they said, what are the things that really define each of you? When you bring them together, a lot of these words, bolded and large and highlighted, were common between us. There was a bond that believed that we should be market-facing, value-driven, collaborating in what we're doing, creating an ecosystem that focused on excellence. If you believe in better education, then this merger is for you. All of that, we believe, and you know, maybe it sounds too grand, I don't care. We really think that we can redefine humanly possible. It comes from a belief that education drives the human potential. So if we are driving the human potential to create value, that redefines it. Now, I talked about branding. Branding is a complicated set of architectures that speaks to what we are trying to do, and it speaks to the set of promises that we are making. Look at some of the important pillars within this brand. Conscientious solution seekers. Remember, this came from faculty and students and alums and stakeholders of this institution that said we are a forward-looking, market-facing institution that not only did our job, but sought to improve on the decision-making process and on the value that was created by those decisions. Condition for the unconditional speaks to the academic requirement. We need to teach people to deal within a highly disrupted, chaotic, rapid change environment. That doesn't mean we will forget our history. It means we build on the history. If we become anchored in the history and foresightful in what we do, we get the best of both worlds. We want the best of both worlds. We don't want to remain in the past, and we don't want to jettison the past. We want to get both, and if we do that, we improve lives. And that is the statement by which we will make our promise. This is a really exciting part of what we're doing. And I think it is less understood by the larger set of stakeholders at Philadelphia University and Thomas Jefferson University. By coming together, individually, we looked at the world as a big place with a lot of variance and a lot of change that had to be, we had to teach our students to a global perspective. When we came together, we discovered we had mapped an ecosystem of engagement and curriculum and partnerships and collaboration that was industry engaging, that was world-class science, that was groundbreaking research, that was incredible experiences for our students, that really did map across virtually the entire globe. Now, coming together, we say by putting these two systems together, it's more than East Falls and Center City, which, by the way, is spectacular. If you look at the facilities in Center City, they are mind-blowing, sophisticated laboratories and research facilities and cool Center City stuff. In East Falls, we have this beautiful, bucolic campus of 110 acres that has 35 developable acres that can grow out into this beautiful, with the right resources, institution that will be world famous. But then you can go beyond that. We're one of the few American institutions that can offer a European baccalaureate degree in Rome. We worked on that for 7 years. The Japan Institute from Jefferson, the collaborations that are happening, the relationship with St. George's Hospital in London. Look at that map. Across the world is Jefferson, is Philadelphia University plus Thomas Jefferson University finally being exposed to the global position it deserves. We are committed to and excited by the combination of everything we're doing. Now, let me be clear here, and there's a big challenge with this, but it's one that we are up for. The historical slogan of, or the most recent slogan, I guess, of Thomas Jefferson is health is all we do. Now, I'm one of the few Philadelphia University people, maybe I'm one of the few people across both institutions that says that's pretty cool. Because if you're not doing something that's improving health, that's making people better, what the hell are you doing? You're probably a criminal. So I think health is what we do. But the broader population needs to understand that health is in the built environment. It's in business models. It's in designing the future. It's in the aesthetic by which we live. It's how we mechanize and engineer our lives. Health is a bigger concept than just medicine. And what Thomas Jefferson said is, if we are really going to fulfill our obligation to society, we need to be a comprehensive university that's focused on the professions, that intersects at these key points. Oh my God, that school only 6.5 miles away does that. Why don't we combine?
So this is Mark Tykocinski, and I want to start by thanking the alumni for being here and taking to the time to learn a bit more about the merger and what's going on here. And I can tell you, I couldn't be more excited for the opportunity and what lays ahead for us in the future. I'd like to have my comments largely address our strategic thinking around the coming together of these two historic institutions, a 193-year-old institution together with a 133-year-old institution, 326 years together of legacy. So we've been involved in a strategic planning process, and out of that process has come a number of top-level strategic academic framework points, which are shown here on this slide. And I want to actually spend a couple of minutes delving into this slide and unpacking each of the phrases that you see here, knowing that there are literally thousands of pages of background work and thinking that have gone into what we are putting together here. Let me just say one top-level thing. What we're doing here, on surface, it looks like a very sort of strange bringing together of two very different institutions. But I posit that these institutions are highly complementary and, in fact, much closer than you might think. Because what they share in common is both are institutions that have been committed for centuries to professional education in their respective fields. Whether it's the health professions at Thomas Jefferson University, whether it's textiles and design and architecture and fashion and commerce and the areas that Philadelphia University has excelled in. And so together, we essentially are becoming a new category of university. And I would posit that when U.S. News and World Report has to do a ranking, they're going to have to create a new class, which is really elite, preeminent professional universities in this nation. And I think we have the opportunity to lead in that respect. I just want to reinforce one thing that Dr. Spinelli said here. We have these two institutions that are great at legacy. We're also talking about transformation. If we were just sort of like thinking out of the box and creating new things, that's one thing, coming out of nowhere. But I think what powers this particular coming together is that we both have these incredible legacies. And so when I think about it, it's really legacy plus transformation. The power here is we're not starting in a vacuum and started creating with a blank page. And the areas that we will emphasize will build on that legacy. So we talk about being a comprehensive professional university. We're not going to cover every last profession out there, but we will cover the professions that historically our legacy points to. The areas of textiles as in the roots, the areas of architecture, design, and health in all its different dimensions. So starting with the first of the framework points, there's this notion of teaching to the fields of tomorrow. And really, there are a couple of things that we think about in that context. One is pioneering new offerings to meet the evolving needs of professional disciplines. Our starting point is what each of these professions is today. It will not be in 15 or 20 years. It simply won't. It's naive to think, given the pace of change, that it will be. And so the fun part here is intuiting how professional disciplines will evolve and where this will go. Coming from the medical college side, I've said in public audiences around the country that 50% of what an MD physician does today will be done by others in the healthcare team and IBM Watson tomorrow. So we've got to train people to tomorrow. What architects do will change dramatically and be impacted. And so thinking about how our established professions will look like and training to that. Second is identifying emerging professions and associated educational competencies. We've started in Center City around an Institute of Emerging Health Professions, but what Philly U's legacy allows us to do is expand that to think of an Institute of Emerging Professions across all the different areas. And also, those evolving needs also point us to certain business opportunities. Academics can be in the business of actually generating revenue that goes beyond the traditional tuition sources. Also, in teaching to the fields of tomorrow is crafting academic programming around learning for life gestalt. The notion that a student comes, spend a couple of years, and that's it for the rest of their career is dead. That is not going to be the future. And so once we generate tuition and have a student, the idea is to think in terms of the longitudinal life. And obviously for our alumni base, this is huge because we'd like to be an integral part of the learning for life of our alumni base. And then, of course, fields of tomorrow. There is no field of tomorrow that is not going to be profoundly impacted by computational sciences, data sciences. And so we will build a strength on this campus, base here in East Falls, around computational thinking. Again, we're not looking to, compete head-on in computational sciences per se, but when it comes to computational sciences, as it applies to architecture, as it applies to design, as it applies to smart fabrics and textiles, as it applies to biology and health, we will be preeminent, and I have little doubt that we can achieve that. The second element of our framework is curating personalized professional growth for each student. And here, unpacking that is a couple of different ideas. First of all, we're going to blur the undergraduate-graduate divide. Philly U and its 3,700 students were predominantly undergraduate, 3,100 of the 3,700. It was the exact flip down in Center City, where we had about 3,700 students, but they're largely graduate students. By coming together, not only do we create a comprehensive undergraduate-graduate, but it gives us this incredible laboratory for experimenting with new educational approaches. An example of what we've done is we have one of the nation's first colleges of population health down in Center City. We've created a track where you can get a master's in just 5 years instead of 6 by doing your 4 years here at East Falls and 1 year there. And we have numerous examples of that already, and we've barely gotten going. It also means thinking deeply about co-curriculum. It's not just sort of standard curricula, but each student should differentiate themselves by cross-cutting ways of thinking in creative co-curricular ideas. The original thought of the coming together happened when we thought of bringing medicine and design together. But we've built on that, and we're building on that on steroids. And then, in general, elevating professional education. And here, with the Philly U legacy, it's been incredible in instilling cross-cutting competencies in liberal arts, social sciences, empathy, communication skills, and the like. We'll also really move forward strongly in developing an honors institute, ultimately an honors college based here in East Falls, but to differentiate it from all those other honors programs at the state schools, et cetera, this will be an honors college that is focused on the professional training and the professional pathways that make us distinctive. That third framework issued is cultivating a dynamic academic community. Now we turn to faculty, et cetera. We need a faculty that drive crossing traditional disciplinary lines. Dr. Spinelli and his team have done over the years a brilliant job in introducing this notion of nexus transdisciplinary learning. We want to take that to the completely next level. And believe me, bringing these two institutions together is sort of like the ultimate in bringing disparate disciplines together and showing how they can come together. It's also assembling a portfolio of marquee programs and reinforcing, as I said, legacy strengths, and all kinds of ways of engaging faculty, staff, and students. And these aren't just words. There's real content. For instance, we are assembling funding to launch an Institute for Advanced Study, where we would bring distinguished professors and scholars to spend time based here on the East Falls campus in order to give students, small group experiences. And then the fourth item here is creating an outward-looking academic ecosystem. While it's fourth, it's really number one. And this really builds what Dr. Spinelli was talking about with that map of the world. Many institutions, will say, we'll send students and get them to experience a little in another country, but largely they tend to be inward-looking in all dimensions. These are two institutions coming together that have built into their DNA a looking outward, and this is very, very real. If you look at the programs for design in Rome, which I had that PhilU had, which I had the opportunity to visit, what was going on in the programs in Finland and Helsinki and other places, it's amazing. And we have parallel things going on over there. And so really it's thinking about education without walls, discovery without walls. And it's not only looking out to other academic institutions, but it also means that looking towards industry. And what excited me in particular when I came to learn more about East Falls and Philadelphia University was this incredibly programming that ties the place to industry in this applied science model, which exposes our students to the outside world. We happen to be in a city that if you draw a circle of about 40-mile radius, there are over 100 colleges and institutions. We would be crazy not to leverage those institutions in creative ways. We don't have to recreate everything here. And through what's called pooled partnership models, we intend to leverage those other institutions. I'd just like to highlight a couple of things that when we come together, we really create a juggernaut here. This is a juggernaut that now has 7,500 students. We're the fifth largest university by size in the region. It means we have 9 colleges and 1 school, over 160 academic programs, over 4,000 faculty. It's an incredible base to work with, and many industry partners, and an alumni base, a combined alumni base of over 63,000 alumni. If we look beyond that, we have 17 intercollegiate athletic teams. I have to admit, Center City did not contribute in any substantive way. I think in 1912, the medical college had a football team, but did not do particularly well. But it also means that we have all these study abroad locations, recognized programs. The occupational therapy program was ranked number 6 as an example. The PA program here in East Falls has, top 3rd rating in the country. And just incredible faculty, just by example, and we could literally have pages of these examples. Fashion ranked number 7 in Fashionista, Design Intelligence named one of our faculty, Lisa Phillips, in its 25 most respected interior design professors, and the list really goes on. I'd just like to highlight 2 or 3 things on this slide. One is that while we've had a deep history and depth of expertise in basic fundamental biomedical research and clinical research, what the East Falls campus has brought is this applied science model, meaning that relationships with industry that is going to enrich both sides in a reciprocal way. And then we've also been heavily vested in new curriculum design. In a medical college, we have this Ph.D. curriculum, which is totally groundbreaking. And under this new merged state, each of our colleges will be rolling out radically different curriculum around all of this. I'd just like to point out with this slide, before turning it over to Dr. Spinelli, is that we wanted to do some proof of principle. And so even before our coming together came live this July, we had been in a year-long process where we put over 160 senior administrators and faculty from both campuses in rooms together to brainstorm, breakout groups, etc. And what came out of that was over 160 what we called early win opportunities. And frankly, we may have jumped the gun a little because we couldn't go the entirety of what we could have done. But even in that short time, we've developed new pathways for students in East Fall's undergraduate programs to move easily to graduate programs, shortening length of training to increase the value proposition for our students. Graduate students from Center City are already engaged as tutors and TAs in East Falls. East Falls students are employed as research assistants down in Center City. And in general, this and many, many other things are just by example of the first baby steps of what we're confident will be a robust set of opportunities that we're going to create.
The partnership with TJU has yielded some almost immediate benefits, which has been really fulfilling. One of the hidden gem problems we had was a beautiful campus that was not exposed to the rest of the world in the proper way in the corner of Henry Avenue and Schoolhouse Lane. We're also one of the few colleges in the greater Philadelphia area, indeed anywhere, that had science programs and no science building. With the merger, we were able to secure not only financing for the new science building and a generous gift for the science building, but the hard work in zoning and the expansion of it, which is going to be about 25% bigger than we had originally conceived, because we have a growth imperative here that we're thinking in bigger terms, that this is going to be the gateway to the new Jefferson and a hallmark to Philadelphia University. There are a number of these. The Neutra House, which is a historically registered, wonderful home on the edge of the campus, 2.2 acres of this beautiful, world-famous home. Well, when we needed the money to buy that with a last-minute purchase, we were able to secure that. That's just a few of the examples of how there's immediate advancement of the institution that is really making education better at this institution starting today. Yeah, let's stop right here on this one. We went through a couple of those slides, the new Fashion Textile Future Center, the improvements to several of the buildings. This is really important to us here, and I think it should be, I hope it's important to you. What will be on the diploma is Thomas Jefferson University. What will also be on the diploma for honor students is Philadelphia University. In this branding promise, Philadelphia University Honors Institute will go to the very best students. It's also, which I think is a real plus for again your degree and the merging and the intent of this institution as a merged entity with real honor to Philadelphia University. I'd also point out on the left that there's the Philadelphia University logo is incorporated into the Thomas Jefferson logo in the new iteration. So it is really a transcultural fusion of the two institutions. And it's slow to come up, but we are bringing the NCAA programs, and it's the building of a community that is really important. Our new look RAM, which I think is dramatically more fierce looking than the old RAM, with the great history of our athletic programs, I think you can remain excited about all of that and how the branding really does elevate us. All those banners in the gym that had textile and PTI and Philadelphia University will remain hanging in the gym forever. And our history starts today. We need you to vote with your support. We need you to say, we are going to assure that the Philadelphia University part of this culture is an important piece of DNA that builds this new Jefferson University. We need your engagement. We need your support. We need your time. We need your treasure. We need you to say, yes, I do believe that Philadelphia University is important and that what we contribute to this is important.
We've got a few questions that have come in that I'd like to pose to the two of you. First one, how will we know, what are some of the elements that we'll know that this merger was a success?
So I think there's, measuring these outcomes often can take a number of years, but, there are several metrics and milestones that I think we can track. Frankly, the more fun ones are the milestones. Look at objectively at a lot of the creative programming. We're talking about launching new colleges that are first of their kind in the nation, things like a College of Computational Thinking, restructuring our colleges, taking our rehabilitation sciences, for example, and creating a new College of Rehabilitation Sciences, incorporating into it, though, a lot of the power we have now with architecture, design, industrial design, and things like that in very, very creative ways. So I think creative programming, also looking at what we do for the faculty, building the vibrancy of the faculty. And then, of course, there's sort of the more mundane but important metrics like enrollment, and that's not just overall enrollment and our enrollment growth, but also enrollment into the honors programs, et cetera. And I think it's important to understand there is going to be a massive consolidation in the educational marketplace in this country, in colleges and universities. Many, many, many colleges and universities will no longer exist, and that will include many with very long legacies. So by coming together, we've secured that legacy, and we're talking about not only maintaining enrollment in these two universities coming together, but actually growing that, and that's something that we'll track.
Yeah, and it's interesting. If you look at the numbers around rankings in the United States, the rankings of colleges in the United States directly correlate to size and endowment. We were both small and under-endowed. Now we are medium-sized and right in the sweet spot and reasonably endowed. We have a much better chance to elevate this institution, both in the quality of the education we deliver and in the recognition that we get. And that will, I think rankings are going to be one of the ways in which we can measure the success of this merger.
Dr. Spinelli, we had homecoming 2 weekends ago in East Falls. What was some of the feelings with the graduates who were able to come back, and maybe the 50th year class that we celebrated? Yeah,
there was a great array of students that came back, literally from 62 years down to last year, with a real terrific contingent of alums from the 50th anniversary. And Dr. Klasko and I met with them for a couple of hours and talked about what they believed in. And what they brought to us was all the same beliefs in being, having a great value proposition, really believing in the future of professional education, elevating professional education to empower people to be leaders, not just players in their industry, but shapers of their industry, shapers of policy, shapers of community. They emphasized all of that. And I think what we found was that there was a melding of philosophies that was consistent, that it is our turn to take it to the next level. They're going to hold our feet to the fire. We have to deliver on these metrics. We have to do a great job for students. If you believe that this merger can deliver better education, then you're supportive of it. And I think those alums came away really excited that the graduates of this new institution are going to get a world-class education, and they can be proud of that. Their contribution to society is going to be vis-a-vis the education these people get and the contributions they make.
Question that we get, not only that we received tonight and in some other venues, will our textile and Philly U graduates get another diploma with Thomas Jefferson University?
You are going to be the most accredited people in North America, maybe in the entire world. People are going to think that you're all Nobel Scholar winners. Yes, you can get another diploma if you would like that, and I would be honored to send it to you.
Great. Right. A practical question. Students will moving back and forth between campuses here in Philadelphia, between East Falls and Center City. What do we think about the moving of students and programs?
Yeah, so I think we're approaching this in a stage-wise way. Our strategic planning process, and as we reconfigure colleges, and part of that will also be figuring out who's where. We're going through a major strategic master plan, which will be completed by sometime in early to mid-December and be presented to the Board of Trustees. And so one of that will be what programs are where. Some colleges will be split between the campuses, and that will drive an understanding of how much traffic of students are around. I would venture to say that within about a year, we'll almost certainly have some kind of frequent shuttle service, and we're going to sort of monitor that by demand. Also assess faculty, because we'll have faculty moving fluidly between the campuses, and we'll take a look at that. I would point out that what is not necessarily unique here is having a two-campus university. So many universities will have dual or even three hubs, and so we'll also look pretty carefully at some of the precedents at other places and how we can sort of transit our students and faculty between campuses.
Big question, but with the merger, what is keeping you up at night with regard to the merger? What are some of the issues that keep you up?
We're making a promise to 25,000 alums and 7,500 students and tens of thousands of future students. And we've got to deliver on that promise. I'm not sure it keeps me up out of concern. It keeps me up mostly out of excitement. That we have an opportunity to do something very special in higher education at a time where there is a clarion call for change. And we're taking action. We're not sitting back and saying, well, let's see what happens. We're saying we believe that driving a clear value proposition that puts you in a position to have a great career is important. We're going to do something about it. And when you have a meeting of the minds of institutional leaders that really believe in that, I think there's just a huge opportunity. I want to make sure we optimize that opportunity. I do worry, am I communicating well with the alums and with the stakeholders, and do they understand the motivations behind this and why this can become a world-class institution and that they can be very, very proud of?
The only thing I would add to that, which in a sense echoes what Dr. Spinelli was just saying, is when I look at the stakeholders in any given university, they're not all equal. Senior management, I view as caretakers. Faculty come and go. Some spend their careers here, but they can come and go. The only constant really in an institution is the students who went here, who then become alumni. And so the alumni are the true owners of that institution. And so if you ask what keeps me up at night, we have a profound obligation to the actual owners of this institution, where the alumni. And to the extent that we can communicate and get the message across of what it is in a genuine and real way that conveys what it is, I think that becomes really important. Obviously, when these two institutions came together, the question was, well, wasn't Jefferson talking about health is all we do, as Dr. Spinelli mentioned? Well, first I'd point out that is only 3 years old, so that probably was not particularly fortuitous that was introduced when it was. And so the key thing for me is convincing all of us, starting with our faculty, our students, our alumni, that health is no longer all we do. Professions is what we do. Human-centered approaches to our fields is what we do, and then we take it from there.
So when a graduate from Philly U comes back to campus and goes to the bookstore, can they get a Philly U or a textile T-shirt, sweatshirt?
You can get a PTI, you can get a PTC&S, you can get a Philly U, and you can get a Jefferson. You can get a Jefferson that says Philadelphia University plus Thomas Jefferson University, and if you buy all 4 of those, you can get a hug from either Mark or myself.
Okay, all right. Any other further thoughts before we sign off tonight?
I'd like to add here. So I talked about we are now a dual hub university, but as someone who sort of started out down in Center City, let me just say this to the East Falls alums here. Even as recently as this afternoon, when I was sitting with the Committee on Research, which, by the way, included already faculty from both campuses and a very robust showing, what I say is in 15 or 20 years, when someone asks where Thomas Jefferson University is, without a doubt, they're going to say it's in East Falls. This will be the primary campus. If people do ask, where is the Jefferson Academic Medical Center, they will point to Center City. But our thinking in terms of the strategic master plan very much positions this campus and this university and space at the center of what's going forward. And I think that's part of the excitement that I think you sense from both of us here in this session, which is we really are in the position of taking legacy, tremendous legacies, but really creating something new and special. But that can only happen if we have the support of the alumni.
Dr. Spinelli, a final thought?
Yeah, thanks for allowing us to spend an evening with you and to talk about this. This is not the last time we'll have this discussion, and there's a long and difficult and exciting road ahead. Bold change is hard, and we're committed to making this hard work beneficial to our students and to elevate both institutions. I think Dr. Tykocinski's comment about you being owners is really important. It will work if the alumni believe it will work. And if you really get behind it, I think there is nothing stopping us from creating a great university with an international reputation that you can be proud of, that really influences higher education. And that's something really special.
Great. Thank you. Rebecca?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Spinelli, Dr. Tykocinski, and Tillman for joining us this evening, and most importantly, thank you all for logging in. As I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, it has been recorded, so we'll be able to send that out. Handouts are available attached of the presentation, and after we sign off, a little survey will pop up, so please let us know what you thought, what you're thinking, and how best we can all move forward. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening.